we had a vision for it until the very moment that we decided, like, okay, maybe this isn't the path that we continue on.
It is impossible to grow a business and to be a leader in the industry that you are trying to grow the business without being all in.
In the fitness space, technically, we were competitors. And so it just was the next logical step of building this was merging our other companies.
Struggle can lead to progress if you reframe it in your mind.
We have taken that vision and taken that experience and taken those failures, because, I mean, that's really what it is, have used that to take a hard right.
If we don't have a possibility of being the best at what it is that we're doing, we're not going to do it.
I remember alluding to, and this is where Project B got the name Project B, which is not actually the name of what we're building. But it was on that episode that we said, hey, we can't tell you all of why we merged yet, because this is just kind of Project A was the merge that we wanted to announce. But there's a whole separate Project B that will also make more sense for the merge. And so, full circle moment, here we are talking about Project B.
Welcome back to the Fitness League, helping busy humans build strong bodies, sharper minds, and better lives. Join us each week as we cut through the noise, challenge the norms, and empower you to train smarter and live stronger. We've been working on something big for over a year, but before we tell you what it is, we're going to have to rewind. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome, welcome. We have a special episode today.
We're super excited. I know you guys are excited too, based on my DMs right now. So hello. If you are, I mean, I'm sure most of you are regular listeners, but if you're not a regular listener, welcome to the Fitness League.
Happy Tuesday for you guys. We are recording this on a Monday and right on brand. All kinds of fun tech issues to kick this off. So we are going to do our best to make this a killer episode and not let that hold us back, because we never let it hold us back. We never let anything hold us back. We keep grinding through it. But Joelle started off with a nice little outline for this journey we're about to take you guys through so that we can do this the right way and give it the justice it deserves. This is potentially one of the biggest leaps that we will take in our entrepreneurial journeys, in our leadership journeys, in our life journey, period. Let's make it that big, that bold. This is something we are extremely proud of. We are proud of everything that we have brought to the health and fitness space. And this is something that is going to help us catapult into the next level. We talk a lot about, if you're not evolving, you're dying in a sense. There's no such thing as maintaining. If you're not growing, you're falling behind everything else. And we've done a pretty good job over the years of kind of seeing where the industry is going, seeing where certain trends are going, what's going to last, what's going to fall off, and taking time to continually invest in what we're doing, in the businesses, in you guys, whether it's, just our audience utilizing free resources or any of our paid clients. We're always working to be better, and that's something we're really, really proud of. It's never going to be a finished product, and as you guys are going to come to learn, what we are doing is a living, breathing organism, so even that is something that is never going to be entirely finished. But it's time to fill you guys in on what we've been doing. It's been a long journey, but to start with the rewind, let's kind of dive into what led us here, what got us here, what paths brought us to this point in our journey. So if you want to kick it off, Joelle, take it away.
Sure. Yeah. So as much as we would love to just tell you all the things and exactly what we're working on and all the details, which we promise we will get to, as you know, if you listen to this podcast, we love context. We love nuance. We love providing background information. And so to really, really paint the full picture for you guys, we feel we have to provide some background info and how we all crossed paths and how we got into business together. And I think that the more context and background we can give, the more what we are building and what is soon to launch will just makes more sense to everyone. In terms of background, without getting too, nitty gritty into each of kind of our own personal origin stories, I was a health and PE teacher. That's what I went to school for. I ran a side business of health and fitness coaching, which I started after recovery from an eating disorder. So that's kind of a big part of my own background, is struggling with disordered eating and kind of obsessive tendencies with over exercising, under eating, wanting to be a bodybuilder, doing some fitness modeling. And that was really a big part of my journey. And also me wanting to coach people so that they didn't kind of spiral the way I did on my own fitness journey. Went to school for health and phys ed, then did a master's degree in exercise physiology. And eventually, after a few years of teaching high school health and PE, I left teaching to take my coaching business full time. There has been several other chapters along the way in my own health and fitness journey. From losing menstrual cycles to trying to get cycles back, having my own sort of fertility journey with PCOS, hypothalamic amenorrhea, needing to get my hormones, my gut health in a better place. And so I think all of those different experiences, and you'll hear that Josh and Alessandra have, other chapters of their experience as well. I think that all of these things have really shaped what we do or don't value within our own health and our own personal philosophies. But what you'll realize by the end of this is that Josh, Alessandra, and I share a lot of those same values and philosophies, of course, because we're in business together. But yeah, I would say that's the gist of my personal background before we fully dive into how we actually crossed paths. Those are some of my contributing chapters.
And I'll go into mine here in a second, but I think you guys have seen and will continue to see like how those harder chapters really shaped us too. Like we've all had our own struggles in different areas, not necessarily the same thing, but I think because we went through those really, really hard seasons, it has allowed us to, obviously overcome them and grow to another level, but also relate so much better to you guys who may be in similar seasons, or even if it's completely different. Like there's typically a lot of underlying things that we can relate to you from going through these things ourselves. I started in fitness as a kid, and I think that is a big part of why I'm so adamant about including my kids in our fitness journeys too. But my mom is a personal trainer. She still is to this day. She's a business owner. She's owned her own fitness studio for over 20 years now. And I just basically grew up in the gym, and that's kind of where it started for me. She kind of let me just start assisting her fitness classes, and I got a little taste of like what it was like to actually help other people exercise and get fit through that. I think I was like 15 at the time, and eventually went to school for exercise science, and I've sort of dabbled in a lot of different areas of fitness since. I've done a bodybuilding competition. I competed at the national level for powerlifting. I've completed 3 half marathons, and was really into running for kind of the start of my fitness journey before getting into all the lifting stuff. And every little era I guess I've had, little Taylor Swift reference. But every era that I've had really just made me appreciate my body so much more. And then obviously, pregnancy, having 3 babies, going through the postpartum journey 3 times. Like we and our bodies have been through so much over the last 15, 20 years of doing this that it's like, it just makes you so much more appreciative, and it really makes us excited to share just health and fitness with you guys and share the goods and all of the things that we've learned by going through it ourselves. So in a nutshell, that's my journey. It started in the gym as a kid. I've dipped my toes a little bit in every area, and now we're just out here thriving and running and lifting and living life and just trying to be our best version, my best version of myself, for myself, but also for my family too.
I won't go too deep. We've covered it in a couple episodes, and I also have a series going over on YouTube, but to break it down real quick, grew up playing sports, similar background with an entrepreneurial dad, working for himself in the construction business, building houses and whatnot. And I always kind of had a passion for that. I actually went to school for marketing so I could stay flexible in regards to, okay, if I take this entrepreneurial path, like what path do I need to go down? Do I want to go down? So I kind of kept it general business in the marketing sense of I can market whatever business I end up going into. And I ended up, again, 3 sports growing up, but I ended up really falling in love with the process, ironically, after I was done playing, because I didn't put a lot of time into the process when I was. So lived in the gym. I was a trainer for a decade, I think, before we really dove into the online space, close to a decade. And during this, as my kind of life was swinging back and forth with health, going from fairly healthy, active kid, growing up playing sports, fitness trainer to destroying my body via alcohol and unregulated supplements. Ended up with a Barrett's esophagus diagnosis. Basically, your esophageal lining eroding and puts you at a higher risk for cancer if you progress to high-grade dysplasia, which I had. So I was told I couldn't heal. I was told the only thing we could do is manage symptoms the best we could and just pray that it didn't turn into cancer, essentially, which I did not accept. One of my greatest gifts, if not my greatest gift, is my stubbornness. I don't accept things simply as they're told to me if I believe there's a better way. And if nobody can find the better way, I'll find it myself. And that's what I did. So here we are, 13 years post-diagnosis, something like that. I am clear of Barrett's esophagus. I do not take any medication. There were incredible struggles along the way where I felt like I was having a heart attack on the couch on a daily basis for 2.5 of those years, which was kind of my rock bottom. And it basically just shifted my priorities in life, made me really, really passionate about what it is that we do. And I'm extremely grateful for that journey. I don't know where I'd be today if I wasn't diagnosed and didn't go through those things. I was on a fairly negative path at the time. And if you guys believe in a higher power, God, whatever it is, I asked for help, and the help that I got was this punch in the gut, literally and metaphorically, to snap myself back into reality and find a better way. So that's what we've done. It's led me to some incredible people, obviously to my family, to this beautiful team that we're building this beautiful thing with that we're about to share with you. So,
I thought you were going to say this beautiful wife next to me, and you took that a different direction.
I said my beautiful family and you got beautiful twice. You got two beautifuls in there.
There were two beautifuls, and
I'm
I
just kidding.
also was like silently like, where's this next beautiful gonna go? Because you're like, my beautiful family and this beautiful co-host, Joelle. I was like, Josh, relax.
This would turn into Jerry Springer real quick. Not that kind of episode today, guys. Sorry. Entertainment
Two
factor
beautiful.
going
And I was
down
like, where is this going?
down a different path here. Yeah, so this beautiful third one, beautiful life that we all get to live. I would not be on this team. I would not be on this trajectory had I not struggled. And I learned a lot of very powerful things along the way that helped me and have helped a lot of our clients just through those experiences and things we could share and things we've learned. We talk about the L5 method all the time, those 5 pillars of health. And I can attest, I went through those 5 and picked something for each as I struggled through this process, and it's the real deal. So that's the long story, very, very short. I didn't want to do another repeat for those of you who've been here for a while, but struggle can lead to progress if you reframe it in your mind. In order to really appreciate all the beautiful things in life, we do need to embrace the struggle and kind of sit in it for a minute so that when things come back up, you look around, you smell the roses, and you are extremely grateful for the moment that you're in during those times. Hey guys, real quick. If you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show.
I think Alessandra summarized it really well too when she was talking about her story and just pointing out that we have all lived a lot of different chapters of our health and fitness journeys, and each one of those was a lesson learned or multiple lessons learned. And with each one of those chapters came a new level of resilience needed because it was a new thing to overcome, a new thing to experience, a new challenge, a new obstacle. And we are sitting where we are in the position that we are, having been, well, I was going to say having building what we are, or what we are currently creating and will hopefully be launching soon. We are in that position because everything that we have experienced and overcome. There's a very little cliche quote that's like, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. I think that was my senior quote, guys. I'm so lame. I swear. I think that was my senior quote in my yearbook. But
I think that was Rocky Balboa.
It does make me think of that quote, like, because how many times have we fallen? amongst the three of us. How
Business
many times
wise
have we?
or personal, like in all areas, like it really, we've gotten to a point where it's like you question everything
Everything.
around you. You're like,
Josh
why?
was just doing that this morning.
I can attest. Now all I'm picturing, Joelle, is it's a bloodied Joelle climbing the ropes in the boxing ring, standing back up and just staring directly into the camera. Can't knock me down. I'll keep getting back up. We'll get a
Can't
little
knock me
montage
down.
going on podcast studio wall or something. Well, that's kind of a good transition point. So, with all of that in mind, why don't you kind of
Yeah.
talk about how this group came together, you two in particular?
It's a funny story. It really is. I mean, Joelle, we've been following each other on socials
I
for.
actually would love to look up. You know how you can
You
look now to
can't
see
because
like,
remember we looked because remember I told
didn't one
you
of us
that
like
weird glitch.
accidentally? I think one of
Yeah.
us accidentally unfollowed.
We were at
It's been
Joelle's
at
house and she was
least,
like, "Let's see how long we've been following each other." And we looked and it was
it was
like
like a year,
2 years ago. And I'm like, "Whoops."
which is not right. Which is not right
You said
because
something that pissed
it's
Joelle
been a
off and she
long
unfollowed you.
It's been a long time. I mean, I remember when you were pregnant with Kai, but even before that, I think cuz like I remember like
Wasn't it the
I feel like I
bodybuilding.com
remember watching
contest?
your posts about you competing.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there, but I
That
feel
was
like
2018.
it was earlier though because you know how Facebook will show you like memories or whatever.
Memories.
And a picture of Josh and I came up of a photo shoot that we did on the track in like 2017, I think it was. It was a long time ago, and you liked it.
Well,
It said
that's fun.
Joelle Samantha or whatever it was. It
Yeah.
might have been on Facebook, but you liked it, so I was like, oh wow, this bitch has been
It's
around
got to
for a
be.
while. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
swear.
I know what pictures you're talking about. I know the shoot that you're talking about. I also think, I don't know when the last time you competed was, but like I remember like your bikini built bodybuilding competition. Like I remember those pictures. It's been a while. It's been
So
a while.
you might have,
Pre-kids,
we
certainly
might have
pre-kids.
followed each other before Josh and I even met then, because that was before Josh and I met.
Maybe. I definitely followed you before you were married
That could
because
have
I
been a repost,
remember your
but
wedding.
you guys knew of each other for like the vitality competition and the bodybuilding.com competition. Did you not? I
Yeah,
feel
but
like you
still,
were
that's
talking
like
at least for the second one.
2018-ish,
Is it?
17.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
Vitality
I mean,
was
which
same
I
time
guess
as
2020,
vetting.
still,
so.
if we're talking 2017, that's still like almost 9 years. So,
Yeah,
anyway,
so the funny part of this story is basically we were internet friends for a long time. And then I forget how it happened, but we were like, "Oh, like, I live in Connecticut, you live in the city. We should really try to get together at some point cuz we're so close." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And I remember telling Josh about it and he was like, "You're not going to the city by yourself. You don't know this person. You don't know this girl." Thinking Joelle was literally going to like
that's
either
serial
kidnap
killer.
me or it was like a catfish situation that it wasn't actually you, or I don't know what was going through his mind.
To scale back the overbearing husband picture you just painted for the world, let's go ahead and bring in like I actually care about my wife and these random strangers in the city. Maybe we just watched Taken. I don't know. There's a lot of things going through my head.
To be
And
fair,
internet friends was not a real thing at this point.
that was what I was going to say. To be fair, this was like before like people really were like doing a lot of stuff with social media. Like, yeah, people would make friends on the internet, but it was like just starting to be like a thing. I feel like it
Yeah.
wasn't like the norm yet where you like find a run club that you find online, or like, it feels a little more organic today. So like back then it was kind of like, all right, it might be a little sketchy. So we'll give Josh some credit
Yeah,
there.
that's fair.
But yeah, that's basically how we met. We were internet friends. We met up. I came to the city spent the day with you in your apartment, and literally it was Manhattan, and we hung out, and it was fate, and we've been together
true,
ever
everything.
since.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just the
remember
third wheel.
going out to lunch and what, Josh?
I'm just the third wheel.
Well, you I think went out to Long Island while Alessandra came and had lunch with me. You were like nearby, but not with us.
I was
It was the
within like
girls' lunch.
speeding distance to not have to take a private flight to save my wife from being kidnapped and sold. Yeah, one of our former partners, I was doing some software work with him and brainstorm session during your date?
The next time we met, I think, is when I came to Connecticut, and then the whole Malaysia thing.
Yeah, so you want to talk about Catfish and just proving my point right.
Y'all, I think we did touch on this in one podcast episode.
You teased it,
but
and you said
basically,
you talk about it in another.
oh my gosh, we have to save that for a whole other episode. One day when we don't have anything to talk about, we're gonna dive into the Malaysia story. But long story short, I almost got catfished. Literally, all of this was unfolding on my drive to Josh and Alessandra's house, and they were a part of all of it with me. But let's back up for a minute, Josh, because you mentioned you were working with someone on software stuff, which actually is a really good transition for more of how we started to work together. Essentially, as health and fitness coaches, I was running my own health and fitness coaching company, one-on-one coaching. Josh and Alessandra were running their own one-on-one coaching company. And this was in the era of like Google Sheets and email. And this is just where you were doing your coaching. You were emailing clients, you were creating programs in Excel, you were saving things in Google Drive. And we all kind of shared the frustration of having to have this disorganized coaching process where there really weren't platforms that existed at the time that did all of what we wanted them to do. Josh and Alessandra had a connection with a client who I think's brother worked in software. And you guys first started working with him to build out a coaching portal for your own coaching company. Don't mean to put words in anyone's mouth, so feel free to jump in here if I need to be corrected on anything. But eventually that transpired into is this something that we could possibly sell to other coaches? Because if we've had this struggle, then maybe other people have had this struggle. And so even that first lunch with Alessandra, I feel like you had started planting the seeds of like, I wonder if Joelle would be interested in something like this.
I remember I think this was the first time we met Brant too, when you guys came to our house. Like, I think it was after the Malaysia time, you came back to our house with Brant and Molly, and this was before you had kids. I don't think you were even pregnant. I think Kai was a baby. And I remember like we were talking about it with you guys, and like we just sort of organically started to like brainstorm it, and like we felt you out a little bit, but like we all were kind of like brainstorming about this business.
Let me back up here and provide a little more context and then tie these loose ends together. So when we launched what was Fit Coach Pro at the time, this is shortly after the era that these girls have just explained, we had been looking everywhere for like, how do we manage? Because email, Excel sheets, even like Google Drive and Google Sheets was considered like the level up. Oh, it's all online. It was just a very yucky way to interact with clients. It was very unprofessional. It didn't feel like it worked great. Like it did all the things we needed it to do, but it felt like a side hustle. And we were doing this at this point, like both of our businesses, we're doing this full time or grinding. It just, you sent this over and it's like, I feel like I'm still in a side hustle and we need to do something about it. So we began exploring, like, is there a software that does all this? Like, it makes it look nice and you can brand it and whatever, put some colors on it, but just have it all be through like a client management system. And there were a couple things. There was actually one where we did get pretty close to signing with, but we were still charging pretty minimal at the time, and they were charging a flat rate per client, and it was just a massive percentage of our revenue. So we're like, no, that's like for what we'd be paying them on a monthly basis. We're like, let's just build it ourselves. So we started that process, exploring. As Joelle mentioned, it was the brother-in-law of one of our long-term clients. So she plugged the intro. I met with him a couple times. We started brainstorming this process of, okay, how do we get everything into one spot? And then when these two had met, we had been using it for a while. And then the white label process thought, like the concept of being able to give it to other coaches, have other coaches pay for it on a monthly basis, started to become a thing. So we were like, all right, this works for us. Like, what's your process look like? What would you need to use this platform? And then Joelle had a bunch of great ideas and things that her team had brought to the table. And like, we'd love to see this, and this, like, we really need this before we could use it. And then by the time you and Brant had come up to our place, so this was was this the third time we all got together? Or you guys got together?
Yeah.
So it was back to back in Connecticut. Just kind of went for it. You guys were asking questions about like the business side of things. And at this point we'd had a really great launch, but had a ton of growth to continue to put into it to get to where we wanted to be. And I think just like as you guys are walking to the car, Brant had mentioned, or something about partnership was just literally floated. Brant and I were talking, very casual, nothing formal. It might have been even like a half comment from me to Brant on the way out, like, yeah, if you guys ever want to partner up, we can scale this thing to the moon. And then you guys texted when you got home that night, like, listen, if you're kind of serious, like, we'd like to have a conversation about it. And we did. And that helped take Fit Coach Pro to its next level. And getting how far are we dragging Fit Coach Pro here? I'm wondering where I cut that part off.
I always wondered too.
Okay, so let's just do it. Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show. So this was the Gap Fit Coach Pro, this coaching software that allowed us to manage clients, their nutrition protocols, some lifestyle protocols, open-ended questions, training programming. And like when we said we researched software, there was typically either one side of it or the other side of it. Nobody did both. And we could not figure out why until we started building it. So it's very complex in both directions. But we did end up with a decent shelf of, okay, this accomplishes the things we needed to do. We had, at one point in time, I feel like all the momentum in the world. We were innovating in this space that was now entirely saturated when you're talking about coaching software and basically all these platforms doing the same thing in a slightly different way. And we were at the forefront of that. We were innovating. We just had a very difficult time keeping up once we started setting what the standard could be. And for a very long time, this is what we saw as the golden goose. Like, this is the thing that's going to really help the industry. This is the thing that's really going to elevate. And we believed in it so much, we actually launched a mentorship, teaching people how to use this, teaching people how to grow and scale their own businesses in the health coaching space. It is just, I won't say very difficult. I will say it is impossible to grow a business and to be a leader in the industry that you are trying to grow the business without being all in. Can you run a business? Yes, you can run a business. How long you're going to be in business is going to be a crapshoot. The way that we do things, the stage, the level that the three of us set, Joelle, Alessandra, and I, is that if we don't have a possibility, not to say we're going to be there immediately, but if we don't have a possibility of being the best at what it is that we're doing, we're not going to do it. The moment that possibility is gone, we are not going to put another ounce of energy into it. And for those of you who use the platform, that can be frustrating to hear, and I completely understand that we let you down, and I apologize for it. I won't say this is a swing and a miss, but this is something that we did come up short on. Something that will haunt me for a very long time based on some decisions that I had made, some expectations that I had set for our team, and just the long-term view. I pride myself on that, again, being one of my strengths. Being able to see the longer term view, the bigger picture, where we need to go. And when this had launched, I didn't understand. I didn't comprehend how big this could be. This was initially for us to use. Then it was trying to play catch up once we realized what it could be. And we were never all on the same page. We were never all on the same page. We were never all in. And we were just stumbling and bumbling and tripping over our own feet. And we acknowledged, okay, this ship has sailed. There are people so far ahead of us in this space who are doing better than we are in regards to delivering it to the user, that I don't want to keep selling this to our users. We all agree this isn't something we are going to keep pushing and putting our names behind and saying, use this thing when X, Y, and Z are on another level. Did it still have some advantages and some pluses? Absolutely. But were we going to catch up in any regard? And was there a way to right that ship? We all came to the conclusion that there wasn't.
I think we tried. I don't
I was
want to
just
make
gonna
it
say
out
that.
to be that it was just like, oh, we just saw we couldn't keep up. And so that was the end of it. We exhausted every option that we possibly could to keep it afloat, to keep it going, to make it better. But we were not the only ones on the team. And we continued to run into sticking points that were beyond our control. We did, I think, our best to control what we could control. But there were also circumstances outside of our control that became continuous sticking points. In part, as much as that sucked, in part that has led us now and became the catalyst for what we've been building now.
Did you want to jump in
Alessandra,
before
what did you want
I
to
cap
add?
that?
You just basically said what I was gonna say, Joelle. I don't want to paint the picture like we just gave up on it, because I don't believe that we did. Like, we had a vision for it until the very moment that we decided, like, okay, maybe this isn't the path that we continue on. And I think, again, like you said, like, we have taken that vision and taken that experience and taken those failures, because I mean, that's really what it is, have used that to take a hard right and pivot.
Yeah, and if I made it seem like we just said, well, we can't do it, we give up, I apologize. That was, again, the Cliff Notes version of a very, very, very long process, a very, very, very long journey.
Yeah.
Attempted course correction, attempted investments and reinvestments, and it ended up being a ton of time, a ton of resources to sit in the same place and to then realize, we got to make that pivot. But all that said, what started out as a potential FCP, Fit Coach Pro rejuvenator, grew its own legs. And we took all of the lessons that we learned, all of the foresight that we had gained, all of the feedback we had received, and used that for this vision of how do we do better in this industry. You don't lose until you quit. Go ahead, Joel.
I think the Fit Coach Pro experience also taught us each a lot about how one another works. And we really had the benefit of having this prior business together, working on Fit Coach Pro together, seeing who excelled at what, seeing whose strengths and weaknesses were what, seeing where we filled in gaps for one another in those strengths and weaknesses. And if nothing else, we learned that we work really, really well together. And we learned that we have very similar values. We function very similarly in the way we want to do business, in the integrity of our business, and the ethics, values, and morals that we abide by, not just in our personal lives, but in our entrepreneurial lives. And so while in some ways the Fit Coach Pro experience was really disappointing, it also really set the stage for what eventually became us merging our coaching companies to begin with.
I was going to say, I don't think, like, if we could just delete Fit Coach Pro, like that whole part of the journey, I truly don't believe we would have merged to be Levolution today, because we would, you're absolutely right, Joelle, like, we would not. I think we knew we offered similar things with our coaching. Like, we offer more than just macro consults and training programming. Like, we, from a coaching perspective and what we give our clients, we had an idea that we gave them a lot more than that, and it was a lot more than just macro coaching. But like you said, like, there's just so many ins and outs and just the depth of the business that we just wouldn't have known about each other without being and owning a separate business together. And I think that really, we couldn't have skipped that chapter. As much as we look back and we're like, it didn't work out, it was a failure, we could not have skipped that chapter of business to be where we are right now.
When we talk about struggling on our personal health journeys or in some capacity on a personal level, that same thing applies to business. Where we didn't succeed, where we left off with Fit Coach Pro, is what's going to allow us to thrive in this next chapter. And again, as grateful as I am for the health struggles I dealt with, I am incredibly grateful for every single hurdle, challenge, struggle we dealt with this project, because that makes us stronger for the future. Now, when something happens, we know how we're going to respond to it because we already went through the growing pains. So now we've conquered this next level, and now we're going to face, these new challenges as we continue to grow and to climb and to build and to do these great things in this space. So no, we could not have fast forwarded. We could not have skipped that chapter. Otherwise, the next thing that we're building would have ended up dealing with similar things. But back to Joel's point, you talk about the dream team. Our skill sets, perfect harmonial balance. The three of us bring in outside resources, using resources for outside things that we need that aren't in our direct skill set. But as far as building, growing, leading a team, putting the things together that you need from a marketing perspective, from creative, operating procedures, like where any of us fall short, the next person is there to pick up the baton. And I think we knew that like right from the get-go. So I don't know how long we had been alluding to this concept of merge. It was, we kind of did the same thing. I will definitely say Level 10 excelled in a lot of areas on coaching. SD Evolution at the time was rapidly growing in the app space. So that was another like perfect harmonious come together, build each other's strengths, support each other's weaknesses. It's just yin and yang. They fit together perfectly, those two puzzle pieces. But it must have been, if we merged in November, September, October, Joelle and her family come down.
It's almost been about a year.
It's probably been a little, close to it. But we had my parents over to take the kids, close the blinds. Like everyone stays out for like 2 hours.
Break out the smart board.
Nobody's allowed to come in. Break out the smart board.
We haven't used the smart board since, by the way.
That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. But we're going through like, all right, so for this project, what do we, this was still incorporating into Fit Coach Pro. Like, okay, what do we need? What do we do? How do we do these things? And the conversation slowly drifted before this final meeting, like over the course of a few months of like, are we doing the same thing? Do we need to do this does it make sense to do this together? And finally, in that last meeting, it was like, well, this just doesn't make sense to not do it.
We don't.
If it doesn't make sense to do it if we're not on the same team. Like we can't do this. And I sprinkled something and Brant picked it up within a minute and he's like, yeah, if you guys want to do this, you have to merge. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's so funny too. I remember that like us all being on the couch. I'm thinking of the specific day of like the whiteboard in your living room, us all sprawled across the couch, just like brainstorming till way too late. Like our brains were mush by the end of it. And bless Brant too, because obviously he's not in the health and fitness industry, but he offers a really, really great outside perspective that anytime the three of us would be like, sticking point, Brant would just like come in and be like, yeah, no, you have to do this. And we're like,
this wouldn't work without Brant either. Like we needed him. He truly added this outside perspective that I feel like is so valuable to us because we just can't see it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting because obviously we had Fit Coach Pro together. We also both had one-on-one coaching companies. And then we had the ideas to start building what we are building now. And it became this like, hey, we're on the same team here. We're on the same team here. Are we really going to be building this next thing that we're on the same team on and still have two technically competing one-on-one coaching companies? We never really like viewed each other friendship-wise as competition, but like in the fitness space, technically, we were competitors. And so it just was the next logical step of building this was merging our other companies. And I know we created a merge podcast. Like once we merged our one-on-one coaching, we merged our podcasts. And in that episode, I remember alluding to, and this is where Project B got the name Project B, which is not actually the name of what we're building. But it was on that episode that we said, hey, we can't tell you all of why we merged yet because this is just kind of Project A was the merge that we wanted to announce. But there's a whole separate Project B that will also make more sense for the merge. And so full circle moment, here we are talking about Project B.
I'm glad you clarified that, Joelle, because I feel like a lot of people do assume that Project B is like the name, or like maybe if they didn't listen to that episode, they have no idea what it like we're talking about.
They totally think it's going to start with a B. 100% they think the name starts with a B.
It's honestly growing on me. Like if we couldn't, like if it was claimed somewhere else that we have, I would have no problem renaming this whole thing Project B.
That's so funny. I mean, that's what everyone calls it now. We'll talk to Tatum about a rebrand.
Oh man, we are the king and queens of rebranding. Okay, you know what?
God.
I want a new flavor today. Start a new company. Well, that brings us to a moment in the episode, guys, that I know you may have all been patiently waiting for, a little bit antsy. We are in the same position. We're in the same boat. We're in the same seat. This may not have been everything you were waiting to hear, but we're not done yet. But what we will say is this deserves its own story, and we are going to share that story. But what we're going to leave you with today is what we have been building. It's a reminder that you are the Fitness League. This is the Fitness League podcast. Our audience, our clients, everyone engaged in everything that we're doing, helping to spread the word, helping to make the world a happy, healthy place. You are the Fitness League. And that is why we are building the Fitness League. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.